So now is the time to stop being a soft woman, not by losing your heart, but by strengthening your backbone. Life will challenge you, test you, and try to pull you back into old patterns of compromise and self-doubt. But you are stronger than your fears, wiser than your excuses, and more capable than you've been led to believe. Stand tall in your truth. Protect your time, your energy, and your dreams. Speak clearly, act boldly, and choose yourself unapologetically. Every boundary you set, every standard you raise, and every decision to prioritize your growth is a declaration. You will no longer settle for less than you deserve. Remember, strength is not cruelty, ambition is not arrogance, and self-respect is not negotiable. You have been given the power to shape your life, to define your worth, and to create a future that honors your potential. Softness can coexist with strength, but weakness cannot. Choose strength, choose clarity, and choose yourself first. Walk forward with courage, discipline, and conviction. The woman you are becoming will not only survive the world, she will command it. Many women believe that staying quiet is the path to harmony. They avoid confrontation, swallow their opinions, and suppress their feelings in the hope that keeping the peace will keep relationships intact. But silence without boundaries is not peace. It is avoidance. True peace comes from clarity, assertiveness, and alignment, not from muting your voice to make others comfortable. Staying silent often creates more tension than it resolves. Unspoken words turn into internalized frustration, resentment, and self-doubt. You may smile outwardly, but inside you are carrying a storm. Suppressing your thoughts or opinions to avoid conflict does not prevent conflict. It only delays it, often allowing misunderstandings and disrespect to grow unchecked. Speaking up is not about being loud or aggressive. It is about expressing yourself honestly, calmly, and confidently. It is about claiming your space, defending your values, and clarifying expectations. Silence gives others the freedom to misinterpret, manipulate, or dismiss your needs. A woman who chooses to voice her truth removes that ambiguity and asserts her presence in the world. Silence can also reinforce inequality. When you consistently withhold your thoughts, desires, and objections, you teach others that your needs are secondary. This pattern can appear in personal relationships, professional environments, or even casual interactions. By not speaking, you inadvertently allow others to make decisions on your behalf or take advantage of your accommodating nature. True peace comes from balance, knowing when to listen, when to act, and when to stand firm. A strong woman understands that speaking up is a form of respect for herself and for others. By expressing what she needs and expects, she fosters genuine harmony where boundaries are clear, intentions are honest, and interactions are rooted in mutual respect rather than unspoken assumption. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Discipline is structured and reliable. Many women wait until they feel inspired, confident, or ready before taking action. They tell themselves they'll start when the timing feels right or when their energy is high. But life rarely provides perfect conditions. Progress belongs to the woman who moves even when she doesn't feel like it. Motivation rises and falls based on mood, circumstances, and external validation. Discipline, on the other hand, is built through commitment and routine. It does not ask how you feel, it asks what needs to be done. When you rely on motivation alone, your effort becomes inconsistent. When you build discipline, your actions remain steady regardless of emotion. Discipline creates self-trust. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, waking up early, showing up prepared, staying consistent, you reinforce the belief that you can depend on yourself. This trust becomes confidence. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you will do what you say you will do. A disciplined woman understands that progress is often boring. It looks like repetition, structure, and small daily choices that don't bring immediate reward. But these small choices compound. While others wait for motivation, she builds momentum. While others start and stop, she continues. Discipline removes negotiation from your goals and replaces it with execution. Choosing discipline also means accepting discomfort. Growth demands effort, focus, and sacrifice. There will be days when quitting feels easier than continuing. Discipline is what carries you through those moments. It keeps you aligned with your long-term vision instead of your short-term emotions, ensuring that your goals are built on consistency rather than feeling. Forgiveness is often misunderstood, especially by women who are taught to be endlessly understanding. You are encouraged to forgive quickly, move on quietly, and keep the same people close no matter how deeply they've hurt you. But forgiveness is about healing your heart, not reopening doors that should remain closed. Letting go of resentment does not require you to give someone continued access to your life. When you confuse forgiveness with access, you place yourself back into environments that damaged you in the first place. You give repeated chances to people who have already shown you who they are. You tell yourself that love means endurance and that growth means tolerating pain. Over time, this mindset teaches others that apologies are enough, even when behavior never changes. True forgiveness is internal. It releases you from carrying anger, bitterness, and emotional weight. Access, however, is external. It is earned through consistency, respect, and accountability. Someone can be forgiven and still not qualify for closeness. Someone can be loved and still kept at a distance. These truths can coexist without conflict. Maintaining access without change is self-betrayal. It communicates that your boundaries are negotiable and that your pain has no lasting consequence. When you allow people back into your space without evidence of growth, you teach them that they don't need to do better. They just need to wait you out. Forgiveness then becomes a cycle that benefits everyone except you. A strong woman understands that peace sometimes requires distance. She forgives to free herself, not to restore what was broken. She observes actions more than words and allows time to reveal sincerity. By separating forgiveness from access, she protects her healing, her progress, and her self-respect while still choosing emotional freedom. Boundaries are not restrictions, they are protections. They safeguard your time, your energy, your focus, and ultimately your future. Without boundaries, your life becomes reactive instead of intentional. You spend your days responding to other people's needs, demands, and crises while your own goals remain untouched and unfinished. Over time, this pattern quietly derails your destiny. Every yes you give is a no to something else. When you say yes out of guilt, fear, or habit, you often say no to rest, growth, learning, or progress. Boundaries force you to become selective. They require you to decide what truly deserves your attention and what does not. This selectivity is not selfish, it is strategic. A woman with no boundaries is constantly available but rarely fulfilled. People will always ask for more than you can give. If you don't decide your limits, others will decide them for you. They will consume your time, drain your emotional energy, and distract you from your purpose, often without malicious intent. But intention does not change impact. Boundaries are how you take responsibility for your own life instead of expecting others to protect it for you. Protecting your destiny means understanding that not everyone deserves access to you at every stage of your growth. Some people are meant to walk with you for a season, not a lifetime. Boundaries allow you to adjust access without bitterness or drama. You don't need to explain every decision. You don't need to justify your growth. You simply align your actions with your direction. Strong boundaries also bring clarity. They reveal who respects you and who resists your growth. Anyone who reacts negatively to your limits was benefiting from your lack of them. This awareness helps you move forward with wisdom instead of confusion. When you protect your destiny through boundaries, you stop leaking energy and start building momentum toward the life you are meant to live. Emotional control is not about suppressing how you feel, it's about refusing to let your emotions control your actions. Many women are told to either be overly emotional or completely silent, but neither extreme leads to strength. Power comes comes from awareness, the ability to feel deeply without reacting impulsively. When you master this, you stop giving others the ability to provoke, manipulate, or destabilize you. When emotions run unchecked, they cloud judgment. Anger leads to words you can't take back. Fear leads to decisions rooted in insecurity. A sadness leads to withdrawal and self-doubt. Emotional control allows you to pause in those moments to recognize what you're feeling without becoming it. That pause is where power lies. It gives you the space to respond with intention instead of reaction. People often test emotional boundaries to see how much control they have over you. If they can trigger you easily, they can distract you, drain you, or push you into choices that don't serve you. A woman who reacts to everything gives away her leverage. A woman who observes, processes, and chooses her response keeps control of the situation and herself. Developing emotional control requires discipline. It means you stop venting to everyone who will listen and start being selective about where you place your vulnerability. It means you reflect before you respond, especially in conflict. You learn that silence can be more powerful than explanation, and that calm firmness often speaks louder than emotional outbursts. Emotional control also builds self-respect. When you handle situations with composure, you trust yourself more. You stop regretting your reactions and start respecting your decisions. Over time, this stability changes how people treat you. They approach you with more caution, more respect, and clear intentions because they understand you cannot be easily shaken. Apologizing for your ambition is a quiet form of self-sabotage. Many women are taught to soften their goals, downplay their dreams, and make their success sound accidental so they don't intimidate others. You learn to say, "I'm just trying," instead of "I'm building," or "It's nothing serious," instead of "This matters to me." Over time, this habit trains you to shrink your vision to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain you. Ambition is not arrogance. Wanting more for your life does not mean you think you are better than others. It means you refuse to waste your potential. Yet ambitious women are often labeled aggressive, selfish, or unrealistic, while the same traits are praised in others. When you internalize those labels, you begin to apologize for wanting growth, leadership, financial independence, or influence. You start seeking permission for dreams that were placed in you for a reason. When you apologize for your ambition, you dilute your commitment. You hesitate to take bold steps. You second-guess opportunities. You talk yourself out of rooms you deserve to be in before anyone else even questions you. Ambition requires confidence, and confidence cannot survive where constant justification exists. The more you explain yourself, the more you give others power over your direction. Owning your ambition means speaking about your goals without embarrassment. It means pursuing excellence even when it makes others uncomfortable. It means understanding that not everyone will support your growth, especially if it challenges their comfort or exposes their complacency. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. A woman who stops apologizing for her ambition moves differently. She plans long term. She invests in herself. She takes risks with intention, not recklessness. She understands that success demands focus, sacrifice, and resilience. Ambition becomes a compass instead of a secret. When you stand firmly in what you want, you stop asking for approval and start building a life that reflects your true capacity. Raising your standards is not about becoming demanding or unrealistic. It is becoming honest with yourself about what you will and will not tolerate. Low standards often come from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out, fear that asking for more will leave you with nothing. But when you accept less than you deserve, you don't protect yourself from loss. You guarantee it. Standards shape the quality of your life. They determine the kind of people you allow close, the environments you stay in, and the opportunities you accept. When your standards are low, you normalize inconsistency, disrespect, and mediocrity. You start making excuses for behavior that drains you, hoping that patience will turn potential into reality. But potential does not build a future. Choices do. Raising your standards means you stop negotiating your core values for temporary comfort. You no longer tolerate mixed signals, broken promises, or half effort disguised as intention. You pay attention to patterns instead of words. You understand that how someone treats you repeatedly is a reflection of their character, not a misunderstanding you need to fix. This shift requires self-awareness and self-trust. You begin to believe that your time, energy, and emotional investment are valuable. You stop chasing people, opportunities, or situations that require you to prove your worth. Instead, you observe, evaluate, and decide. Walking away becomes easier because staying in misalignment feels heavier than letting go. Higher standards will reduce your options, but they will improve your outcomes. Not everyone will qualify for access to your life, and that is not a loss. It is clarity. When you raise your standards, you create space for respect, consistency, and growth. You stop settling, not because you think you're better than others, but because you finally understand your value and refuse to build your life on anything less. Choosing yourself first does not mean abandoning others. It means refusing to abandon yourself. Many women are conditioned to believe that self-worth comes from service, a sacrifice, and self-denial. You're praised for putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own, for being available at all times, for holding everything together even when you're falling apart inside. Over time, this conditioning teaches you that your value is tied to how much you give, not how well you live. When you don't choose yourself, you slowly disappear. Your dreams get postponed. Your needs get minimized. Your voice gets quieter. You begin making decisions based on fear of being alone, fear of disappointing others, fear of being seen as selfish. But every time you ignore your own well-being to keep the peace, you send yourself a message that you don't matter as much as everyone else. Choosing yourself first means honoring your limits without guilt. It means resting when you're tired instead of pushing until burnout. It means pursuing your goals even when they disrupt familiar patterns. It means investing in your growth mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, without waiting for permission or approval. You stop asking, will they accept this? And start asking, does this align with who I'm becoming? This choice often feels uncomfortable at first because it challenges old identities. People who benefited from your self-neglect may accuse you of changing. They may say you're distant, selfish, or different. What they're really reacting to is the loss of access to a version of you that was always available, always accommodating, always silent about her own needs. Choosing yourself will expose who respects you and who only tolerated you when you were convenient. A woman who chooses herself becomes more grounded, not less loving. She gives from fullness, not exhaustion. Her relationships improve because they are built on mutual respect instead of obligation. She understands that she cannot pour from an empty cup, and she no longer tries to prove her worth through self-sacrifice. Choosing yourself first is an act of courage. It is the decision to build a life that feels right to you, not one that simply looks acceptable to others. It is the moment you stop living on survival mode and start living with intention, direction, and self-respect. Many women hold themselves back because they fear being labeled harsh, difficult, or unkind. They confuse strength with cruelty and firmness with coldness. As a result, they soften their words, dilute their needs, and second-guess their decisions to avoid making others uncomfortable. But strength is not about hurting people. It's about standing in truth without shrinking. A strong woman does not raise her voice to prove a point. She raises her standards. She does not insult, manipulate, or dominate. She communicates clearly, acts decisively, and holds her ground without apology. Cruelty seeks control. Strength seeks alignment. There is a profound difference between being mean and being firm. Yet many women are conditioned to believe that asserting themselves is somehow wrong. Being strong means you can say no without explaining your entire life story. It means you can walk away from disrespect without creating drama. It means you don't need to punish others to protect yourself. You simply remove access. This kind of strength is quiet, control, and deeply rooted in self-respect. It does not beg to be understood, and it does not need validation to exist. Cruelty comes from insecurity and fear. Strength comes from clarity and self-trust. When you are strong, you don't enjoy causing pain, but you also don't sacrifice your peace to keep others comfortable. You understand that not everyone will like your boundaries, your growth, or your evolution, and you accept that without guilt. Approval is not the goal, alignment is. Strength also requires emotional discipline. It means you don't allow your feelings to dictate every reaction. You pause, assess, and choose responses that serve your long-term well-being rather than short-term relief. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. This is not coldness, it is maturity. When a woman embraces strength, she becomes unmovable in her values, yet flexible in her approach. She can be compassionate without being permissive, loving without being self-sacrificing, and confident without being arrogant. Strength is the balance between heart and backbone, empathy and authority, softness and self-command. Stop being a soft woman, not weak, not passive, not apologetic for your strength. The world does not reward softness without standards. It takes advantage of it. Being kind is powerful. Being Navi is dangerous. Being loving is beautiful, but being spineless will cost you your future. Strength is not cruelty. Discipline is not heartlessness. Boundaries are not arrogance. They are survival. Being soft without boundaries is not kidness. It is self-neglect. Many women are taught that being agreeable, understanding, and endlessly accommodating is a virtue. From a young age, you're encouraged to be quiet, to be patient, to be nice, even when something feels wrong. But when softness is not protected by clear limits, it becomes an open invitation for others to cross lines they were never meant to approach. People do not automatically respect kindness. They respect clarity. They respect consequences. When you allow others to speak to you however they want, treat your time carelessly, or dismiss your needs, you silently teach them how to treat you. Disrespect rarely starts loud. It begins with small compromises. Laughing off rude comments, tolerating broken promises, excusing behavior that makes you uncomfortable. Over time, those small allowances grow into patterns, and patterns become expectations. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They are lines that define what is acceptable and what is not. Without them, your generosity turns into availability, your patience turns into tolerance, and your love turns into sacrifice at your own expense. You begin to give more than you receive, explain yourself more than you're understood, and forgive more than you're valued. This imbalance slowly drains your confidence and teaches others that your limits are flexible, or worse, non-existent. A woman without boundaries often feels exhausted, resentful, and unseen. She wonders why her kindness is taken for granted and why people only notice her when they need something. The truth is uncomfortable but necessary. When you don't protect your space, others won't either. Not because they are all bad, but because human nature respects strength more than softness without structure. Setting boundaries requires courage. It means saying no without guilt. It means speaking up even when your voice shakes. It means being willing to disappoint others rather than betray yourself. Some people will resist your boundaries because they benefited from your silence. That resistance is not a sign you're wrong. It's proof that the boundary is needed. Respect is not demanded. It is established through consistent action. When you enforce your limits calmly and repeatedly, you communicate self-worth without raising your voice. You show the world that your time, energy, emotions, and body are valuable. Softness paired with boundaries becomes strength. Without boundaries, softness becomes vulnerability others exploit.